fantasy hockey hacks, and replays of Oilers Live, available anywhere you get podcasts. Just search for Heavy Hockey Network or go to heavyhockey.com.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Oilers Live on the drive home. My name is Michael, also known as Oilers Live. I've got my co-host Dash in the park tonight joining me. We're live here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, which you can find us on TuneIn at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. I always like to say special thanks to Dustin Nielsen, Matt Iwanek, Tom Gazzola, Lieutenant Eric, and the rest of the gang for the opportunity. And Heavy Hockey is also live on youtube.ca/Heavy Hockey. Make sure you like and subscribe while you're there. Join us later tonight as well, 9 p.m. Mountain, for Fantasy Hockey Hacks coming up later tonight, part of the Heavy Hockey Network. Welcome, Dash. I mean, this is we're every time we come here, we're on the Oilers win streak, and this is no different. And it's week after week of talking about the Oilers winning, which can usually be, when a team's winning like this, it can usually be a pretty boring time. But still lots of Oilers news to talk about. We're going to talk about Corey Perry tonight. We'll talk about what to do about certain players, how Corey Perry slots in. We'll talk about Ryan Smyth as well. You have a preference as to where you want to start tonight?
Boy. No, I'll follow along. Let's just go.
All right. Well, I guess that works for me. All right.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. I love the change up there with the Heritage Classic hoodie and the Heritage Classic jersey behind you. Looking good. I love that. Everybody says they don't love the pants and the gloves. I kind of like them. What's your thought?
No, I didn't like the pants and the gloves either. I mean, I get where they were coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, replicate the jersey and that's just fine. I think you don't need to replicate the whole uniform.
Jersey did look good.
I don't want to start a show like this talking about negative, that's for sure, because I don't know anybody in Edmonton that's in a bad mood right now.
Well, everybody did love the jersey, and that jersey is undefeated, might add.
Yep.
So nothing wrong with that. That's pretty positive. 14 in a row. Who would have thought? Well, there's one guy that did think. Dash is said from the start, thought it might be a hot take, as did everybody, but that the Oilers could go undefeated in January. Now, there's still a couple more games left, but it's Chicago and it's the Predators. It's looking like everything's coming up aces for you.
Man, hot take, insane take. I was called some names privately and socially. Hey, it was a hunch when I saw the way that it fell together. We've talked about it a few times, that a few things had to come and a few speed bumps in the way, but those were overcome and here we are. I don't know. Yeah, it's coming up aces. That's a good way to put it. I think I just want, I don't want to jinx it. There's a little bit of, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, and I'm okay putting a few. I don't think what I say here or what I put out on Twitter or anything like that is going to change the fate of the Oilers. But it's so damn close now that it's like, saying shutout in the last 2 minutes of the game. Like, there's a part of me that's just like, I want to get there and hope it happens, because I can't imagine anybody anywhere at any time, let alone anywhere for the Oilers this year in this city or anywhere in this country, that was going to predict an undefeated season. So I'm telling you, if I pull this off, I want my credit where it's due, man. I said it was realistic, right? I think it was, and all they had to do is keep doing exactly what you and I both conglomerate and talked about it, and it's happening. Here we are, and they put that together by winning in different ways. They're doing it the right way. They're, bizarro world, who'd have thought that we'd be sitting here talking about their power play being the biggest problem?
Yeah, yeah. I keep reverting back to that. I think, the amazing thing about that is that was everybody's commentary about the Oilers last year prior was they're nothing without their power
The
play
merchants.
merchants. Yeah, I mean, we heard it all. This team is, it's not that their power play is the worst in the league, but it's certainly not, it's nowhere close to what we, have come to expect over the past couple of years.
Last time I looked.
And you and I argued at length about goaltending. Stuart Skinner's made a big change, big turnaround. But when I look at this and I go back to outside of the first 2 games of this win streak, nobody's put more than 2 past the Oilers. That's unreal.
How many? Sorry, what did you say at the beginning? 13 of 14? 12 of 14?
12 of 14.
Wow.
So in the first 2 games of the win streak, they won 6-3 and 4-3. And then outside of that, nobody's put more than 2 past the Oilers in 12 straight games. I mean, that's unheard of. That's unheard of in this league right now.
They're absolutely look at, I just said bizarro world. What Edmonton Oilers franchise or club do we know of any time that starts okay? Because we always used to start crappy. But this kind of finish, man, we're Mariano Rivera of the NHL right now. Like when our foot's on your throat, you're done. You're done. Georges St. Pierre. Like if you're not getting up, man. It's 26-6. We've outscored our opposition in the third periods.
Yep.
Over the last 14 games. Jack Michael said it last night that, what did he say? That in the last 10 minutes of games, it had been 6 or 7 straight that nobody had got more than 3 shots.
3 shots, yep.
In the last 10 minutes of games. And I think they got 3 or 4. I think they might have got 4. I was going to check the NHL to see if that one got called back because I was mad. I wanted them to keep that streak, but still, right? This is foot on your throat, ending you type of stuff. And last night is a real microcosm or micro example of kind of what this whole thing's been. They knew what they needed to do when they needed to do it, and the team did it, right? Like Skinner kept him in it when he needed to. That game could have been 4-1, 5-1. The one that went past him certainly wasn't his fault. But what did Bruce McCurdy say on the Cult of Hockey last night? I made a note here. Expected goals 5-on-5 in the first 2 periods were 0.7 for the Oilers and 2.6 for Columbus. In the third period, the expected goals 5-on-5 for Columbus was 0.001.
Yeah.
And Edmonton's was 1.48. Yeah, man.
Well, I mean, you look at this, they this is, talk about winning every which way, right? I mean, I said after the end of last night, I mean, that's not a game unless Stuart Skinner keeps you in that one, right? Through 2. And then you don't need them in the third. Like when you say winning, they're winning every which way. Like they're winning every which way in the same game. Even like that was a tale of 2 games. That's like you can't look at that and say that's not a whole team game, because there's part of that game where Skinner's the one that's the all-star, and then the second half where the team comes in and just does everything right to finish it off. And this is a 4-1 game that's won in the third period, and not one of those is an empty netter.
Or a Connor McDavid.
Or and that's the other thing. Like Connor McDavid's been Connor McDavid, but he's not coming out and getting 4 points a night.
Yeah, he seems off, to be honest, and maybe we can get into that later.
Well, I don't know.
He does. He does. He's.
I kind of look at it a different way. He seems like he's riled up, like, and he's playing a bit more of like he's more physical than I've ever seen him play. He's changed his game a little bit.
And
I
you're
don't know
right.
if
I
it's
do.
off at all.
I
I just
agree.
think he's changed his game up.
I do, but I
Yeah,
do think it's a little bit because of necessity
that
to
could be.
contribute in every way that he can. He's still got his speed. There's something off about his shot. Like he's hesitating to shoot, and I don't know. It looks
Well, the
next
one
game, just
between the
keep an eye
legs
on it.
last
But
night of Merzlikins, I mean, that didn't
yeah,
seem off to me. I mean, and he
no
had
fair.
one. He put a bullet up high and just missed the net too last night at one point. I just think he's changed his game. I mean, I thought about it too because I thought like this. We're used to Connor McDavid coming out and doing 3-point nights, right? At least once
Yeah,
every couple, and he hasn't done that for a little while. He's still putting points on the board. In that Toronto game, there were flashes of this is easily the best player in the world that most advanced player we've ever seen. But also in that Toronto game, he played like he was Kachuk or he was
possessed.
Corey Perry or like. I mean, I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. Last night he laid a couple of big hits, and what a great thing to see from Connor. And I just, you talk about this team and you look at comments from some of the likes of like PK Subban, and I just don't think he appreciates the fact that, I heard Gazzola and Dusty talking about it today, which is this team's playing, with like leadership from so many different levels lately
yeah.
that this team is prepping themselves to win. I don't know if you saw Bob Stauffer's tweet earlier today about 5v5 goals during the 14-0-0 run.
No,
Did you see who's leading in points 5v5? Just take a wild guess if you don't know already.
I don't know. I didn't see it. I would guess Hyman or Fogel.
Fogel, yeah,
Yeah.
5-9 and 14. Next
Wow.
up, McLeod, 7-5 and 12. Well, and then Draisaitl, McLeod, and McDavid all have 12 points. And then Hyman's a 6-3 and 9. I mean, who saw that, right? Like who?
Bizarro.
It is bizarro, and
Here.
hey, we're here for it. This is
Oh,
this is the
I'm
team
here
that,
for all of this.
yeah, like this is the team we want, right? Like
Hook
you
into
still
my
get to
veins.
watch McDavid, zoom around and do what McDavid does,
Yeah.
but I mean, to see some of these other guys step up the way they have, see Ryan McLeod. I mean, while I was saying we needed a new goalie, you were ready to ship McLeod out of town, and now look at him. He's been one of the best players we've had on the team.
My caveat in shipping hit out of town is when he stopped playing around the outside, because he needed to get to those places, and for whatever reason, he started to when he started playing with Draisaitl, or once he started getting coached by Knobloch, or a mix of the two, whatever it is. But man, yeah, I don't know. McDavid's been, you're right, he's a different player now. Whether it's a change by choice, by necessity, or he's just like you said, leading in different ways or choosing to lead in different ways. Like the Toronto game, he just kind of put that thing on his back. He's -2 after a shift and a half, and then turns that thing around, and he's +1 at the end of the game. And just kept rushing the puck up the ice like lightning, like just, oh, how about now? How about now? How about now? Kind of took it into his own hands. He kept dragging them back into the fight. I mean, that whole winning goal was a prime example of it. When you've got Riley draped on your back and you get punched on the way down, you beat two guys to the puck in the corner with one hand on your stick, you throw a couple more punches, then you go throw a screen, and then while your team is celebrating, you're telling Riley, how do you like that? Like it's my good buddy that I work with said, McDavid reminds him right now of Gretzky and McDavid having a love child. Love McDavid being the love child of Gretzky and Iginla, which I
Yeah,
love.
yeah, absolutely,
Sorry, I
100%.
messed
Yeah.
that one up. There's a one-liner. But to your point about whether they needed Skinner, like, yeah, high danger scoring chances in the first two periods were 10-4 Columbus.
We were getting rocked.
And then in the third period, they were 6-0 Edmonton. None.
You know, when I knew Skinner was on, and when I the moment that I had belief in him was in the Toronto game. Like, I mean, I had belief before that, but that Toronto game, he came out and made some saves that were next level. You know, like
Well,
he just he's feeling it right now, and
dude,
he's
I think you're
he's part of it.
disrespecting him by saying you didn't believe until then.
No,
Like, first
said
things first,
I
I was
just
right
said
and you
that
were
I
wrong,
was
and you should have
I
just
said
believed me when I told you 2
oh, yeah.
friggin' months ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Second thing second,
If
if
I
it took
believed
till
you every time, Calgary Flames would have a Stanley Cup
yeah,
last
well,
year,
oh no,
right?
a President's Trophy, you son of a bee. I would never give them a cup.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
How'd they
that's
finish?
that. Yeah, horribly.
Yeah.
You know, but it's living proof. I don't know. I just think that whole thing coming together all at the right time, right? Like, it's just been an absolute thing of beauty, and here we are living the fruits of it. 14. I don't know. I think we're gonna go 16 undefeated. I love the fact that we get a week off to think about the fact that number 17 to tie the Penguins all time would be against the arch rival Vegas Knights. That said, they're
I've been
sporting
thinking
an
about that for
AHL
too
lineup
long.
right now.
Yeah.
Right? And then to beat the record, I think they've got who do they have after the Knights? It's a tap in.
Ducks.
Anaheim.
The
Yeah,
Ducks. Yeah.
it's a tap in. So very, very, very interesting to see how these next 4 games all come together.
I mean, they put the league on notice, right? Like, this is a team finally getting its due. TSN, who I never thought would put the Oilers on the top of their power rankings ever. I mean, Bob the goalie, heavy hockey's Bob the goalie didn't even put Oilers on top of his power rankings. But TSN did.
You answered your own question without even asking one. Bob, the goalie.
I'm not sure he's got Skinner in his top power rankings.
Enough said.
Was he, Bobby?
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yeah. Since American Thanksgiving, Skinner 18-2 in 20 games with a 9.33 and a 1.8. Is that good?
It's all right. It's all right. It's not bad, right? It's not bad.
They've given up 17 goals in the last 12 games. Like, that's the calendar year. Since the clock turned 24, 17 goals in 12 games. That's like New Jersey Devils, Marty Brodeur, Stevens Niedermeyer days. Like,
well,
we're
he
locking it down. Who are we? Who the hell are we?
Beat the franchise record held by, nobody big like Grant Fuhr.
Who?
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No big deal. Right? 11 in a row. And it's outstanding. I mean, the schedules helped us a little bit. These nice little breaks, no back-to-backs, a nice thing. But hey, this has been great. We got to enjoy it. This is, this doesn't come around every so often. And right now it's, the best Canadian team in a very long time, right? Like, 67 was the last time a Canadian team won 13 in a row. Now we've won 14.
No, they had won 12.
They won 12. Was it 12?
Canadians, yeah.
So there you go.
That's the difference between me and you. I listen to Bruce McCurdy while you are off trying to convince people you're right about something.
Oh, yeah. So I'm the one trying to convince people I'm right about something.
It's easier
to pat myself on the back.
Hey, I've never called myself humble.
But no, thank God. In fact, thank God for that one, because
humility out the window.
I wouldn't have enough energy, enough air in my lungs to stop laughing if you said that one. Right. Oh man. All right. Yeah. 14 in a row for the Oilers. We've got some big news, which is it's we got Jacob. I think I know Jacob. Jacob's a good guy. Last game was the first time I was not worried about the win when they were getting spanked in the first. And Jacob, I think, like, I look at this team and there's been 2 or 3 games where, yeah, the Oilers came out and they just seemed flat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know at what point in this streak, but at some point in the streak, I just kind of like I expected the Oilers power play to score last year. I expect the Oilers to come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that
there's
started
just
late last year where we were
yeah.
just like, we expect them to win now. It doesn't matter how it starts anymore.
Yeah, it's just a belief, right? That and you got to think that that's how the team's looking at this, right?
Well, they're certainly playing like it.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's great. It's great to see Ken Holland has made a signing, Corey Perry, which we've all talked about. A guy that what I don't know, 4 years ago I was asking Ken Holland to sign.
If you were a fan, let me just put this up on a tee for you, okay? We're gonna go bang a par 5 here. If you're a fan of this show whatsoever, you followed us whatsoever, and if this is new, then thanks for listening and hit subscribe and like and all those things. If you're here, then you've done that, and you know that Michael has said that we need a Corey Perry type player, no less than 7,257 times in the last half a decade now. Here he is. So, you know what? I'd be remiss to sit here and give you my opinion of what I think about Corey Perry being on this team when I've quite literally been interrupted on this podcast by you dragging your Corey Perry soapbox into your studio. So I tell you what, I'll put myself on mute for about 17 minutes. And why don't you tell us what you feel about Corey Perry and
Yeah, I
his
don't need
contributions
who
and what
needs
they'll be to the
17 minutes.
Edmonton Oilers? Okay, take 19.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing, right? Like there are folks I put out this as soon as he was taken off the ice in Chicago. And I thought maybe there was some distant chance, but for fun, I put out there that Corey Perry would be a nice addition to the Oilers at that time, thinking he was going to be traded. He said he's the kind of guy, and this has been talked at length in the past week or a couple days anyway, since he's been signed. But Corey Perry is exactly the kind of guy you hate to play against, but you love to play with, right? And on the same team. And, we talk about these players. We hate Tkachuk, right? But he does well in Florida. You hate, guys, well, both Tkachuks for that matter, right?
Maroon.
Claude Lemieux would be a big guy. Look at,
rig.
Edmonton, Esa Tikkanen, right? Big rig, right? These are all guys that, are part of, winning teams wherever they go. Big Rig's probably the best example, but him and Corey Perry, I mean, they're battling it out year after year in the finals.
Yeah.
Right. And guys say, well, he's, look at him. We don't want him on our team. He hasn't won the Stanley Cup in his last, 3 times to the final. And I ask you, like, how many times have the Oilers been to the finals? Right? Like they just
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is a Hall of Famer. He is exactly the guy that this team needs, and the guy that I said this on the show that we had the other night when the Oilers signed Corey Perry, but he is the guy that we wanted Cassian to be, and never really panned out. Right, Cassian was that
I
for
think
one
guy
series.
Cassian to be, and then we got rid of him. But I know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying. And so I've looked at this guy. I looked at him like before he went on this incredible run of Stanley Cup Finals. I thought this is a guy that the Oilers should get. Right, the very first time that he was a big part of the Anaheim Ducks passing Edmonton in the playoffs, and that hurts, right? But that's the guy you want. And, he's a guy, he said it in his press conference, he wants to win. And damn it, like, I love that. I love that about that. And you can see it in Connor's eyes more than I think you've ever been able to see it in his eyes. Like he's ready to win. I think this team has really turned a corner. I mean, I'm not planning any parades yet. Like, let's get real. Stanley Cup's a hard trophy to win, if not the hardest in sport.
Mm-hmm.
But they got the guys that want to win now, right? They got the whole team. Whatever Knobloch's doing in the dressing room, he certainly turned a corner for them. Goaltending, they're getting goaltending.
It's not
like
just what he's doing in the
never
dressing
seen,
room,
right? Like,
but we can get into that.
yeah. Well, I mean, and let's talk about that. Okay. This team is unbelievable. Look, if I was saying goaltending, one other, some other fan was saying we needed defense. I just heard on NHL radio 2 days ago, what is Johnston saying that the best defensive pair in the league, Ekholm and Bouchard.
Well, one's a Viking veteran that immediately stepped in and was our number one, and the other one's a point per game defenseman. How is
How
that
many
even?
people would have shot Bouchard out into out of a cannon for his defense, right?
Defensive pairing or
defensive pairing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be an all around thing.
I mean, defensive pairing because they're defensemen. I don't know about their defensive hockey, but
but they're
Bouchard's got hidden metrics that some people seem to love. That still doesn't forgive that boneheaded mistake he still seems to make every once in a while, but you can certainly live with those when. And you know what I thought last night was actually kind of a down game for him. You seemed, I don't know, just not well. I mean, nobody seemed into it in the first two periods, but Bouchard didn't have a great third either, in my opinion. I thought Kulak was awesome. But Knobloch, man, you give him it. You're not giving him enough credit by saying, and I know you didn't mean it this way, so forgive me, but for what he's done in the dressing room, for what he's done on the ice, for what he's done on the bench, for what he's done at practice, for what he's still the boss of Coffey and Stuart. So, if you've got superstar salesman employees, the sales manager gets credit for those guys. And Knobloch has got like ginormous check marks in all of those boxes. Ginormous. So it's not just what he's done in the dressing room. And I know you weren't just counting the other things, but this guy is a goddamn gold finger for hunches. Like the first time he ever sticks McLeod with McDavid and Draisaitl to decide to go bang a game winner, right? He put the entire team in a blender last night for the very first time. For the very first time as a coach. Every line changed after the second period. And what happened? High danger scoring chances went 6-0 for Edmonton in the third period. What did they have? 5 shots all period? What did they get, like 2 shots in the power play the entire game? Columbus, like, let alone the third. Knobloch's got Fogle playing like he's earned his salary and like might get that again. He's a bona fide top 6. Last year there was Fogle haters. Kane got banged up a little bit, and I think that was maybe the main reason he dropped down to the third line. But Knobloch figured out a way to get McLeod going. Let's stick him up there and try him on the wing. Who had that on their bingo card? Who had Fogle, Draisaitl, and McLeod being one of the most effective lines in the NHL on their bingo card? I didn't say
absolutely the most effective and consistent Fogle's been probably in his career.
In his entire career.
Yeah.
Absolutely having a career year, right? But then again, he's paid like a 40-point winger. And now we're getting it, right? Like he's finally coming into his own. Like he's finally becoming the Fogs that we all wanted. And, like Knobloch's smart enough to get McLeod going. And then what does he do? Oh, Kane's feeling better. Let me just, throw McLeod back down on the third line. I'll get Kane going again, which is exactly what's happened. And then McLeod on the third line, still scoring game winners. Right? Like, and let's not forget that McLeod's first goal to start all of this after not scoring for the first 21 games was an empty netter. Like Knobloch had him out there, right? Like all these things are just coming up. Absolutely. You said my predictions coming up aces. Man, everything Knobloch's coming up aces.
Well, I mean, this team seemingly everywhere except for one guy seems to have it going right now. Even in Bakersfield, they're on a bit of a tear,
Oh, a
and
bit.
and
They're a wagon there too.
and Campbell's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Campbell's playing well in Bakersfield. Now that doesn't mean call him up and put him in the backup role, but you don't think that makes Holland's job easier if he's trying to move him at the deadline? Hell yeah.
Oh, for sure. Of course
Hell
it does.
yeah. That's huge, right? That's a big deal. All right. Let's take a break.
Let's take that break. I'm going to ask you a question about Campbell and Holland when we come back. So remember to cue that up.
All right. We'll be right back. Devin, Bruce, and the rest of the fantasy hockey hacks right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Mountain, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavy hockey, and make sure you like and subscribe. Looking for a hockey fix? We've got editorials, fantasy hockey, monthly brackets, and more. Go to heavyhockey.com. Hey, it's Oilers Live Tuesdays, a regular 9 p.m. Mountain Time, now streamed live on edmontonsportstalk.com, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavy hockey. Make sure you subscribe.
Oilers Live Podcast.
Want hockey podcasts? Tough Call Podcast, 99 Forever Podcast, fantasy hockey hacks, and replays of Oilers Live. Available anywhere you get podcasts. Just search for Heavy Hockey Network or go to heavyhockey.com. That's right. We need your help. We need your subscriptions. Make sure you subscribe at www.youtube.ca/heavy hockey.
Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Hey, it's Oilers Live. We're back from the break. We've got well, at least we know we got one listener. All right, we are back. You can find us at youtube.ca/heavy hockey. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to tune in and chat with us, we'll answer some of your questions, talk about what you want to talk about, but we've got a couple things here. Dash had a question going into the break. Go for it. What's your thoughts?
Well, hey, you had said that it'll make us a lot. It'll if Campbell keeps playing like this in the minors, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to trade him at the deadline. Leads me to this, and my brother-in-law asked me this, so it made me kind of wonder if Soup keeps playing like this. Who would you rather our backup goalie is when the Oilers start the playoffs? Pickard or Soup?
I can't. I mean,
Right?
I can't answer the question now because I wouldn't want the Oilers to bring him up right at the playoff time because I wouldn't trust him. But if he came up, and I suspect that he's going to have to come up and play a couple games, and we'll probably see that. Who knows when? But it'll probably be sometime in February.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does come up and he plays a game, and now the Oilers can actually afford to put him in for a game, right? Like they've put themselves in a position where we're not in a must-win situation night after night, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
And they put him into a couple games playing the way that they're playing. And I look, Jack Campbell was fantastic on the Leafs when they were playing a good, solid game defensively and offensively for the first half of a season, right?
I think any NHL quality goaltender in his rhythm with a good team in front of him is a capable backup. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
So if he could come up and absolutely kill it, but I think if I had to, I would still say if that was the case, Holland and Soup came up obviously before the deadline, plays a really good couple of games. If I'm Holland, I'd still try to cash in on that, on his current success in the AHL and maybe current success, a couple of good games in the NHL, and see if you can't move him. Because I don't think the team's going to trust him right now, right? And if you move him, you got to get. I don't know. Do you trust Picard as a backup? Probably not. So, if you do move him, you got to have something coming back that's someone that's a capable backup. But it's clear now, and I wouldn't have said this I wouldn't have said this 2 months ago. That Skinner's number one. There's no 1B anymore. There's a 1A and a and
he's going to play 65, 70 games this year if he keeps this up. There's no 1B. There's a 1A and a 1D.
So, what do you think? I mean, what would you do? Would you keep Soup in? Would you keep him for the playoffs? How would you play it?
Yeah, you know what? I think there is an argument for that. I think, anytime you're going to have to include him in a deal with his salary, you are like trades are all about asset management, right? So you've just got this scale that's tipping on both sides or, balancing on each sides. And anytime you're throwing Campbell in as one of those assets, quotation fingers, on, in on your side, it's really going to heavily diminish what you bring back or really hurt what you have to throw in.
Yeah, I think you have to throw in an asset. 100% agree.
Yeah. So I'm just not sure that I'm willing with the heat we're on, with the role we're on, with the chemistry we have. Do we really want to throw in a CC? Do we really want to fuck Fogle would have been the guy that was thrown over the fire last year, but not now. Right. So I don't want to be knee jerk on mixing up this lineup too much in order to ship somebody out with Campbell, or if it's a first round pick, or if it's do want to hurt our franchise that much. I think honestly, maybe just let him play in the minors. Maybe we can find another goalie, right? We've seen what we can see out of Rodrigue, so that's okay. Maybe if he goes down to the East Coast or something like that, or whatever. And then we've got two capable NHL backups in Pickard and Soup in the minors. And then we have a capable NHL backup up here with Skinner. Every team that's won recently is proven you need more than one goalie in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, look at shades of 2006, right? I mean, although
shades of last year, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know when your goalie is going to be injured. 100%. You need somebody good to back him up. My concern is really on the trust factor, right? Like we've seen Campbell come in, play super well, and then seemingly, a different Campbell comes in depending on what his mindset is. Whether the team has 100% trust in him or not will be the, factor, right? And if he can come in, if he can come in and play a couple of really good games, then maybe that changes the whole discussion. But there's still the fact that his cap hit is, maybe against the Oilers moving forward next year, especially with the Brown bonus pay, and assuming Corey Perry. I don't know what kind of bonuses he's got in, but Corey Perry must have a few bonuses in there. So you're going to have those bonuses to pay next year. You're going to want to get rid of that contract if you can, I think, but there's got to be a good backup in play. Now, there are some guys out there that are, Merzlikins we saw yesterday, right? There's been talk about moving him. There's even been talk about Fleury, right? I mean, I'd love to have Fleury as a backup on this team, despite the age. But you're going to have to be creative. And you're right. You have to decide that there is a player that you're willing to send out, because you're not going to move Campbell without some type of an asset.
And I'm not doing that before my playoff run, Michael. I'm not. I think, you know what?
But does Corey Perry change that discussion?
No, you just asked me the question of what I would do. I decided, this conversation's made my mind up. I would keep Campbell in the minors. And when we find somebody better than Campbell and Pickard as a backup, we'll send Pickard to the minors as well. And we'll keep both of those guys because they're both NHL capable goalies that, when put in front of a team that's playing like a wagon, are capable of being just fine. And Campbell did that in the playoffs last year when we were taking it to LA game after game. We were taking it to Vegas game. We outplayed Vegas in almost every one of those games until it fell apart. And Campbell was just fine in those moments because
how do we put that in the cap space, though? Like, that's the question, right? So if you, like, what you're suggesting is that we find a backup that's not Campbell and isn't Pickard, right? And we add them to the lineup. How do the Oilers afford that from a cap perspective? Something's got to go the other way. So I love how you're thinking. I'm just, from a business perspective, they just don't have the cap space to add somebody without somebody going out. And who's going out?
Yeah, I think it's assets at this point. Like, I'm not sure that there's anybody you just want to put on the platter and say, we don't really need this guy at this point. Like, and there's very few guys that aren't punching above their weight class as far as salary and output goes. And I don't know, man. I think you got to imagine there's an injury of some kind coming, right? Like, let's say a Fogel or a CC or a whatever gets banged up, like that gives you $3 or $4 million to play around with at the deadline. And the thing about Fleury is the money. So I'd love to have that experience, and that's almost,
well, you can send an asset out and have Minnesota retain, right? I mean, you can.
Well, the most they can retain is 50%. And if you're sending an asset out, then it does have to be Campbell, because I don't think you want to send out anything else that's a $3 or $4 million contract right now, because that means it's a CC or a Kulak or a Fogel, and I don't want to get rid of those players right now.
Yeah, and I can't. I mean, in no world do I see Fogel going anywhere for a cup run. I think he's proven himself to be too valuable. CC is maybe the guy, but I think CC is one of those guys that's an easy target on this lineup.
Exactly.
But I just,
why?
He's been good.
It's good.
Yeah. And to your point, I mean, look, I said this, I think it was last week, we talked about at the deadline. Like, what do the Oilers do at the deadline? Do they even do anything? I mean, look at this team, right? Like, there's not, like, you look at teams like New York who went and thought that they would, upgrade every which way, and it completely backfires. Like, you change the chemistry, you change everything.
Way too much. That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of good things going on with this team, including like Connor Brown might not be scoring, but it was said in the chat. I mean, the guy's been great in a number of other areas.
I mean, we're winning games because of our penalty kill. And if you want to put guys on a pedestal for our penalty kill, it doesn't take far to sort through the cards before you get to Desharnais or Brown. They're both excellent. Janmark as well. Excellent. Janmark's an almost perfect player if he had any offense whatsoever. Like, he's just so efficient on the ice. Last time I saw him make a mistake, I think I was 7 years old in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. That's I don't know. It went wrong on me. Like, it's never happened. Like, it's
Yeah, and he's only scored 1 goal, right? But you don't hear people screaming about Janmark, right? Like, the expectation for Brown was a lot higher, obviously,
Mhm.
right? But
I think Perry was practicing with Brown and Janmark. And, like, that's a pretty solid, tenacious, really responsible veteran third line.
yeah, yeah, and they're gonna get under
They're a little
people.
slow.
Yeah, it might be. I mean,
Or
look,
maybe a throw.
I'd be all right with that.
In
I'd be all
fact,
right
let's
with a
segue
lot
there.
of
Where
them.
do you put Perry in the lineup? I'm gonna ask you that, and you can ask me the same thing. Where do you put him in the lineup, and when does he start?
So
And
we
who do you
had,
take out to put him in the lineup?
he's starting apparently on Saturday is the expectation, right? Or he's going to be ready for Saturday's game
For Nashville.
for Nashville.
Yeah,
Which
I've heard
is
the same.
which is too bad that he's not going to be ready for tomorrow, but it is what it is.
Oh, I
He's going
think
to be
he's ready
ready.
for tomorrow,
He
Michael.
probably is, but you're
Why
right.
would they put him
You're
in
right.
front of them?
Yeah.
It would be doing
He's
Perry a disservice to stick him in front of all
yeah,
that Chicago
maybe.
media and
Fair
make
enough.
him answer those questions. I think
Yeah.
that was a favor to Perry. But anyways, I'll let you answer your question I asked.
So he's starting. Let's say he's starting. It's a matinee game on Saturday against the Preds. Like I really think well, a lot of people would like to take Brown out of the lineup. And we talked about this a lot. I mean, I can't see it being anybody other than Gagne. And it's just it's not because and Gagne's been hell. He's been he's been hell of a player for this team.
And what you've wanted him to be.
Yeah, like nobody expected it. Nobody expected what we've got out of Gagne.
I think I did.
And he's done really well. He's been there. Of course, last night, uh, a little bit of a bad giveaway, but
Yeah.
once in a while,
He paid for it.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to take out anybody in the top 6, and you're not going to take out McLeod. And I think you need Derek Ryan. I really, everybody wants to take out Connor Brown. But
No.
I just don't I think like I do think on the and you said it, this PK has been a big part of our success. And Knobloch continues to put Brown out there because he knows. And look, Brown's sniffing at it. Like, this is not like
Is he?
well, I mean, he's had a couple of great chances the last couple days, and this
Sure,
is
he's
a guy
had the chances. What did he do with them, buddy?
well, this is a guy that's
He's
definitely
sniffing.
on the proverbial schneid. Like,
He's
that
sniffing.
one,
I'd say his nose is busted and he hasn't been able to smell for months.
I mean, he had
But
he was in the right spot for that one that he shot back into the goalie, and then he had a beauty
he was in the right.
one-timer that
Yeah, and what did
Holloway
he do
cashed
with
in
it?
on.
My wife said that it would have been harder for him to hit the goalie than it would have been to hit the twine because he had such an open
but I
net.
think that's a guy that's in his position, right? Like, and he,
Just gripping it too tight.
yeah, I think that's it, right? Like, last night you saw the look on his face when Holloway puts the puck in the net instead of him, right?
They
like,
need to stick Brown on the ice with McDavid and Draisaitl at the end of a game for an empty netter. That's how it happened for McLeod.
Well, they've been trying that too.
Get him on the sheet, damn it.
Like, this is a guy that is like destined not to score, but he's had more chances at it than Reeder has in my mind. Like, and you know what? He looked like his shot looked a little bit better the last couple nights. Like he was getting something on it, and he's still he's like a dog on the bone on the PK. He does a lot of things well. I'm not ready to quite give up on him yet. I've given up on the goal aspect. Like I'm literally
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, for
but I
sure.
feel like if he does put one in, he's going to put in a dozen, right? Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, and that's what I mean. Just get him that empty netter. Look, I'm going to say one more thing on Connor Brown, and then I don't want us to get too far off on our tangent because I
Yeah.
want to circle this back to the Perry questions. Um, Connor Brown plays hockey to me like he's playing mini golf. Like there's a clown and there's a fan blade going around, and he thinks the best thing to do is to just shoot right at the fan blade and hope it goes in and he gets a lucky bounce. Like it's kind of funny. I really do think that. Okay, so you said that you think Gagne comes out. I'm gonna hold off on my answers. Do you think that starting him against Nashville is the right idea? You insinuated that you wished he was available for the Chicago game.
Oh, I mean, you
So you'd
might
like to
be
see
right.
Corey Perry
You might
against
be
the
right. I want to see Corey Perry in the lineup like yesterday.
like yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. That's
And
that answer.
you know
That's
what?
cool.
He's gonna have to play and he's gonna have to answer questions and he's gonna have to do a lot of shit over the next little while. And
Regardless.
yeah, I mean, look, he did what he did, whatever it is he did. And he's gonna have to deal with that. He is dealing with it.
Well, and let's hope
So
he has dealt with it for the
yeah,
most part, or
yeah,
at least the
absolutely.
problems that caused it, right? And I think we've all got and know people in our lives that have gone through substance abuse problems. And, I've seen my fair share of it. That's for damn sure. And I've seen a lot of crazy things happen as a result of that substance abuse. And, if that's a guy that had a substance abuse problem that produced a crazy situation, well, that's pretty normal. Right. So, I know a lot of people that would love a second chance, and maybe with a guy like Perry's persona, it's a third or a fourth chance. But at the same time, I don't know. I know you and I were talking one-on-one, during that press conference, and we agreed that it looked very sincere, and I would agree. Where would you put him in the lineup?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Brown, Janmark, and Perry would be a great.
I think Ryan was in on that too, now that you say
Yeah.
that out loud back to me. But still, like that veteran, reliable, on the ice at the end of every game. You got him penciled into the power play anywhere?
He's got to be second power play unit. You can't take it away from Hyman,
Yeah.
right? But do we have a first power play unit right now? I don't know. I mean,
Why? Because the second one's so good after they scored last night?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean,
You know?
like their power play just can't see. They look really good. Like they're doing, they can move the puck around like only
Yeah.
McDavid can, but
Yeah.
man, can they not? They just can't seem to put the puck in the net.
Okay, well, here's
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No,
I got some
no,
takes on it, but I want you to finish out.
no. I'm done. You go ahead. Let's hear what you
Okay,
have to
so
say.
you know what? Honestly, I think it's a mistake to put him in the lineup. I have the complete opposite opinion of you. I think that first things first, if they had him in the lineup versus Columbus, then they have to have him in versus Chicago. And I don't think they should have him in the lineup versus Chicago. So I understand the let's go the game after Chicago theory, if that's the truth and that's what's behind it. That said, I disagree with that theory as well, and wholeheartedly. I honestly wouldn't put Corey Perry in this lineup until we lose. And I don't care if that means he sits on the bench for another 2 weeks or in the press box, because what they have right now is something special. And everybody's been a part of it. Everybody's been a part of it from top to bottom. And maybe he's what we need down the stretch. Maybe he's what we need in the playoffs. Maybe he is. I'm sure he is. In fact, I'm positive he is. But let's not let that change what's happening right now. And the
I
flip
think
side
if
to
that
that
was the
is,
philosophy. Oh, you finished. Sorry.
yeah, end of the sentence. Or, as you know, I like to speak sentences and paragraphs. The end of that is if he comes in that Nashville game and they lose, he doesn't want that smoke. Like now you ruined our streak before we could have played Vegas after the break to tie the NHL record. And then what if we've heard this a billion times. Game shape is game shape. Practice all you want. It's not playing a game. And what if he makes a mistake? Remember how Holloway started the season last year? Walked out first shift, giveaway, bang in the back of our net. What if that happens? Then, like, now we vilified Perry more than he already was, and now I don't know. I don't like it. I think maybe you start him in Vegas and you make him be part of that 17th game, and then so be it. And then he's had the week to practice with whoever. I don't, but my opinion and my hot take on that is I don't think Corey Perry should hit this lineup until we lose a game. He hasn't earned it.
So
He hasn't earned it.
here's my thought on that, and here's the flip side of that. Holloway started in the middle of the streak. Gagne started in the streak.
Both
right?
guys on the team
Yeah.
on this roster when we started this season that have been
Yeah,
wearing an
they
Oilers
both
uniform
started
from
in the
game one.
season, but Holloway hadn't played a lot of games, right? I mean, he certainly wasn't a part of this streak. He wasn't a part of the turnaround, right?
With all due respect to Corey Perry, he hasn't done shit for this team yet. Those guys have.
Well, yeah, I think if you're going to put Holloway in though, and there was always and you got a young guy that had he come in and the streak ended. I mean, were they worried about him and his confidence? I mean, look, Corey Perry is not some new kid on the block.
I mean,
Like
developing Holloway as a franchise.
Corey Perry's a vet.
Now. We don't need to develop Corey Perry.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, you don't.
You're an Octane's point on them putting Holloway in the moot. To me, I don't think that matters whatsoever. He's on the team. That's why they injected him. He was injured. And they gave him 2 games down in Bakersfield and let him play center. And he lit it up. And they could use him to play center. So clearly there was an experiment there. And yeah, of course you're going to bring him up when he's ready. And you know what? Holloway's been awesome the last 2 games.
Durst says it here, right? Like, this is exactly how I think. You went and got him because you thought he'd make you better. That's 100%.
We're perfect.
Yeah, we are.
We're perfect. How do you don't get better than perfect?
Well, then why did they even sign Corey Perry?
For the playoffs.
I don't know. You don't sign a guy and then not play him. Yeah, you just don't. Yeah, I mean, you can't.
Josh
you got to put him in the lineup.
You two boneheads. Go ahead and agree, Mike and Mike.
You signed him so you could play him. He'll be in the lineup Saturday. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that. It's not. It wouldn't be like in a perfect world. That's kind of how you might play it, but that's not how they're going to do it. They're going to put him in the lineup Saturday. He's playing on Saturday.
He's not
like there's in no world are they going to sign Corey Perry and then sit him when he's ready to play.
Yeah, there is a world. The world where you're about to set an NHL record for the most consecutive victories in the history of the league. That's the world, Michael. What they're doing is special.
I 100% agree.
Kick your soapbox out of there. Like, you're not even using.
This is not a soapbox. I just don't see them not playing Corey Perry. Like, how do you not play a guy that you just said earlier in the show is likely a Hall of Famer? How do you not play that guy?
Because we don't need a Hall of Famer in your lineup when you've won your last 14 in a row and 23 of your last 26. That's why. You need him in the playoffs and you need him in the dressing room, and he'll be just fine in those 2 things. Why are you going to throw him out on the racetrack and maybe get him banged up? Why are you going to have him run out of gas? Maybe he gets suspended.
Ask the Oilers that when they play him on Saturday.
Yeah, like I don't doubt it. I agree with you. I know he's playing Saturday, but
I get what you're saying. But he's playing. I can't see them not playing him on Saturday. It's just not what they didn't sign him. He wouldn't have signed if he thought, look, I might sit until we lose. Right? Like, it's just not, there's no, I just can't see that happening. Maybe I'm wrong. And if you're right, I get it. I get what you're saying. I get this idea that you don't want to change, just like we said, what do you do at the trade deadline? You don't want to change the team up. But at the same time, this is, he's on the team now. Like, he's a part of the team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's there. He's practicing with them. He's a part of the team.
Yeah, and that should be his part on the team, practicing and sitting in the press box and doing cool things in the dressing room to keep guys loose and giving his advice and sitting down with young players and you know, uh,
Yeah.
look, I know that camp is
I
out
get
there.
I get what you're saying. It's just not gonna. That's not how it's gonna play out, right?
I know,
Like,
I
yeah.
know. I'm not
I
arguing
say it
that.
or
I'm
not,
not
but
debating it. No,
yeah,
I know. I'm quite confident he's going to be in that Nashville game. Maybe it pays off, maybe it doesn't. But if it doesn't, it'll just be one of the many things I've been right on with you lately. And
oh,
I know that
jeez.
camp is
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
Like Rye guy in the chat says, I
One thing
couldn't
you
care
said.
less about the record.
You
The
got
record
one
doesn't.
thing right. The gold.
Oh, no. Way more than one thing. Rye guy in the chat, I could care less about the record. It's about winning the cup. And I understand that statement, but like your road to winning the cup is trying to win every game. So, I mean, I think right now in trying to win every game, you keep a winning lineup in there. And I'm sure
You
that
play
when
the assets you have, right?
Yeah.
Like it would just be like,
I mean, he's screaming
it's
back
the
at his
same
radio.
reason
He's
they
going,
put
yeah, but we
Holloway
need
in.
guys in there so that they're seasoned and ready for the playoffs. And I get that, right, guy. But that's still 40 games down the road. This is special, and we're 3 games away from special. There's 40 left.
Let's say they
and we need 3 more to get to
Perry
real
in.
down special.
They put
Let's worry about
Perry in
playoffs and 4 more
against
games.
Nashville. They put
Yeah.
Perry in against
Yeah.
Nashville.
Yeah,
and the
scores on
Oilers
himself.
lose.
Yeah, hawks up the puck.
So
goes
what?
the other way.
Like, you think that Perry all of a sudden,
and he
garbage?
gets suspended for 20 games for elbowing somebody.
Okay,
And
well,
by
I
the
mean,
Tough
it
Call
can happen in any
podcast
game.
standards, he's out for the rest of the season. Now we don't
It
even
can
have
happen
Corey
on any
Perry
game.
because you put him in versus Nashville, and it's all your fault.
Well, you're gonna have to play him eventually.
When we lose, I told you when.
You play the assets you have.
Next time
right?
we lose.
Same
thing with
it's
Pickard.
the same as like,
I think it's Skinner's streak to lose.
No,
Put him
it's
in.
the same streak to lose.
100%.
Like, this has not all been Skinner. Skinner's been a big part of it, but everybody stepped up.
Yeah,
everyone, including CC.
Yeah, I could care less if Perry came here to be a cheerleader or not. That's what I would make him be until he's earned his way into the lineup. Everybody that's wearing an Oilers emblem that's in this streak has earned their way into that lineup and deserves to be in that lineup. I take Gagne out, no problem.
You don't think Perry has earned his way into the Oilers lineup?
Nope.
Okay.
Not during a 14-game winning streak.
You play the assets you have. I mean,
not during a 14-game winning streak.
I can't see.
I put him into the lineup like you and against the Columbus Blue Jackets if it didn't have a 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-game winning streak on the line.
Yeah.
You're about to make history.
Yeah, I get it, but
you're doing that for Knobloch. You're doing that for Skinner. You're adding to those guys' legacies and records. You know what I mean? Like, you're erasing the 80s Oilers by doing this shit. You're getting rid of it's just so important. I really it doesn't matter because it's not raising a cup, but it only takes 3 more games for us to do something that nobody else has ever done in the history of hockey. So let's
I
do
think
that.
Jacob hits on it here, right? One guy's not going to lose us the game. One guy is going to win us the game.
One guy can lose you a game easily. You absolutely
but it could be anybody, and it's not necessarily going to be Corey Perry if he can line up on Saturday.
60 minutes play it. No, look at,
and he's not going to
what you guys are saying. No, hey, but look, 60 minutes play out, and it's tie game with 30 seconds left, and he makes a boneheaded move and either is sitting in the penalty box.
Look, if you can call that,
and then they score, then he is going to get blamed. I'm not saying he would legitimately be the reason that team lost, because it is won and lost as a team. But he is going to get vilified in that moment. He is. So why are we going to put him in that mindset? He just fought his demons. He just went and tried to make him, and now he's going to come and have to walk into Oilers fandom who already hates the friggin' Ducks, who already hates Kessler and Perry before they put this jersey on. I don't know, man. Why
that story could be any Oilers.
2 or 3 games. Perry's played 1,700 games in his career. Not that many, but you know what I mean? Like, what if 3 more matter?
Belichick wouldn't play him. Josh says, you're right.
You're right. Belichick a good coach?
Of course, they only play so many games a week there, but all right. Well, Corey Perry, what's everybody got? What's the odds on Corey Perry playing Saturday?
100%.
Good. 100%.
Yeah. but I
All
hate it.
right. All right. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit more Oilers hockey. We'll talk about our good boy Ryan Smyth, Captain Canada, being called to the International Hockey Federation's Hall of Fame. Congrats to him. We'll be back right away. This is Michael from Oilers Live with Dash as my co-host. See you shortly. Devin, Bruce, and the rest of the fantasy hockey hacks right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Mountain, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavy hockey, and make sure you like and subscribe. Looking for a hockey fix? We've got editorials, fantasy hockey, monthly brackets, and more. Go to heavyhockey.com. Hey, it's Oilers Live Tuesdays, a regular 9 p.m. Mountain Time, now streamed live on edmontonsportstalk.com, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavy hockey. Make sure you subscribe.
Oilers Live Podcast.
Want hockey podcasts? Tough Call Podcast, 99 Forever Podcast, fantasy hockey hacks, and replays of Oilers Live. Available anywhere you get podcasts. Just search for Heavy Hockey Network or go to heavyhockey.com. That's right. We need your help. We need your subscriptions. Make sure you subscribe at www.youtube.ca/heavy hockey.
Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Hey, it's Michael here, Oilers Live with my co-host Dash in the Park. And we're talking a little bit of Oilers hockey, 14-game win streak. Corey Perry signed. Lots happening still, despite 14-game win streak. Lots to talk about. Before we hit the break, we never did get Dash, who you would take out in the lineup to put Corey Perry in.
No, I agreed with you, Gagne, when you said
Gagne?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he
Okay.
was meant to be the extra forward on this team, and that's his role. And he's already proved he's really good at coming in when he's asked to and producing in those little moments. So, yeah, I think, and again, hey, that'll spark up the debate as well. If he's the extra forward and we brought in Perry as a full timer, then, why would the extra forward not step aside? And Gagne's been in and out of this lineup during the streak, and it hasn't hurt us. And I get all of that. And it's not necessarily about the chemistry. It's about the fact that Corey Perry just might make a mistake. And that one mistake, if it's at the wrong time, could have dire consequences mentally with this fan base, temporarily or long. I don't know. But why do it for one game? Why?
Yeah. I mean, we debate that. I just don't, whether you're right or wrong about his, whether he should play. I just, in no world do I see him not playing.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I'm not debating that for even a millisecond.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. We'll still talk a little bit of Oilers hockey. We'll probably somehow transition back into it. But we got to talk about our guy, Ryan Smyth. I mean, here's a guy like true Edmonton Oiler and true Canadian hockey player. Played the game, in a lot of ways, the way that everybody would say the game should be played, right? Played with a wooden stick, hell, right? Like, exceptional on the power play, and not fancy in any way, just out front of the net. But like, what's amazing, and granted, it probably wouldn't be Captain Canada if the Oilers could make the playoffs.
Yeah, of course.
But there he was, right, as the leader on that team, and just going out and playing hockey. I haven't had the chance to meet Ryan Smyth, but any time that anybody that I know that's had a chance to meet him has about as many great things to say about him as that. I think you had on occasion, or once or twice.
Yeah, I've met Smitty on several occasions. Yeah, probably 4 or 5 times. The first time was meeting him and his brothers at the same time during the Horse Lake Bentley run. I believe they were a part of that playoffs, and not I believe, I know they were. And Ryan Smith's brothers have played in that Allen Cup and very close to those Allen Cup finals because they are so talented as well. Those 3 brothers, I think, were just amazing hockey players. Ryan Smyth is my draft class. I think we're about a month apart in age. That, as I was growing up, was the spot I was supposed to be drafted in, right? My hopes and dreams, and born in 1976 and the 94 draft, your Edmonton Oilers will select Dash. It didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, they took Ryan Smith.
They took Jason Bond Sr., if we're splitting hairs, but so yeah, that's I've followed his career like for no other reason than that. He's played the game the way that a city that's blue collar like Edmonton would respect and has respected and admires. It was hard work, it was passion, it was bringing it every day. We all pride ourselves. That's the Albertan way. I know you're out on a barge in the Pacific Ocean near Halifax, but you spent your whole life here, so you know what we're talking about, and you're part of that. Your hard work got you there. Smitty is the guy that everybody loved because he never really had much negative to say, and if it was for a good reason and because he was trying to push his teammates or what have you. He was excellent in the dressing room. He was a good man on and off the ice. That said, you said it, his nickname was born from the fact that we had a decade of darkness. If we entered one right now, then Zach Hyman's probably your new Captain Canada. And those guys are getting compared a lot, and for good reason, right? They're hard as hell to get off the puck. They're tenacious. They come out of the corner with it. They're good in front of the net. They're great on the power play. Hyman's probably more skilled, but I don't know.
And you know what you're getting every night. Like, you knew what you were going to get from Ryan Smyth every night.
Tenacious,
right?
passion, consistency.
Yeah. Like, there was never a night he didn't come off the ice and he wasn't the one with the most sweat. And and noticeable just
teeth
about every night, right? Yeah, lost the most teeth. Like, just a guy that, and what I love the most is how much he wanted to play for Edmonton. Like, he loved this. He loved the city. He loved being an Oiler. He stuck around.
He really did.
Yeah.
He really did. And that swings me back to another story, right? And there was meeting those guys back then, but the most recent one was actually bumping into him at Home Depot. And what it was I had paid for my stuff, and I'm in my own world. I probably had my earbuds in or something, knowing me. I was probably listening to a heavy hockey podcast of some kind, maybe some Edmonton Sports Talk. And as I went to go pay and say thank you to the cashier, I took my earbud out and I heard a voice that was very familiar. And in my brain, I'm like, wow, that's a familiar voice, but I didn't know immediately. Swing my head back, and of course it's Ryan Smyth and his wife, and they're buying this big brand new barbecue. And so I think to myself, well, why not just offer, I see it's him and his wife there, be an opportunity to get a chat in. Hey, Ryan, you want me to hang back? Or I said, hey, Smitty, do you want me to hang back and give you a hand loading that barbecue up? And you know what? Like, didn't even hesitate for a second. Yeah, buddy, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for sure. Just hang on for a second. Right? Like, and then he pays for his barbecue. They put it on the cart. He wheels it out to the truck, and we help him load it up. My first thing I realized was how skinny his legs are. They talk about guys like Crosby and whatever having tree trunks for legs, I was just like, holy crap, man. Like just lanky and Gumby. And he had what he needed. He couldn't shoot the puck hard. He couldn't skate very fast. He didn't have a lot of dangle, but he has more power play goals than Wayne Gretzky as an Oiler.
Unreal. Yeah.
Right?
Unreal. And that, you know, to me, that's kind of the big thing. Like, yeah, granted as an Oiler. But like, here's a guy that he just went out and played the game, and he's got a franchise, you know, like, he's got a franchise record, right? Like,
Couple of them. Yeah.
and, yeah, he,
Those teeth left on the ice by a slap shot.
there's nothing special about like, you know, you certainly can't compare him to a guy like McDavid or Draisaitl or anything like that, but you could certainly compare him to Hyman. I'd still say Hyman is even maybe a little bit more skilled with the puck than Smitty, but you just
100%.
the heart and you know, he still saw the game really well, and he wasn't scared to get into those you know, dirty, gritty areas. Great player for sure. All right. Little tribute to our guy, Ryan Smyth. You can check out Mike Dursa did an article on heavyhockey.com.
Yeah, great one. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, perfect. And
I disagree with everything you've said in the chat, but I did appreciate your article.
And so congratulations to Ryan Smyth, inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame for 2024 this May, I believe. Who else will be in there? Jaromir Jagr and Puzar, Yaroslav Puzar. There you go. A couple other names. All right. Let's finish this off. We got probably about 10 minutes left.
Time flies.
Yeah. We got the Blackhawks up next. This will be we're going for 15. It's a home game. We're finishing off a homestand here before the All-Star break. I mean, this is
Chicago's at home too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, Nashville's at home too. Pardon me.
Yeah, Nashville's at home. Yeah, homestand. That's what I said. So you know, two more games before the break. 2 winnable games for these Oilers.
Yeah.
What, like, when you look at this and you look, you know, there's been a lot of talk now, which to me is crazy. I mean, you know, 2 months ago, we were worried about whether or not the Oilers would make the playoffs. Now they're talking about where they're going to finish.
Right? No, it went from how we're going to be a lottery pick to holy shit, we're Bettman 500 to holy shit, we're really 500 to we are a wagon.
Yeah. I mean, it's unreal. Wait, what do you think? Do you think this team has a shot at first in the Pacific? I mean, Vancouver's still rolling.
I don't care.
They're still rolling.
Yeah, we've got a shot. Of course we got a shot. I don't even care though.
No?
Nah. Home ice. Maybe that's important, but
home ice is nice.
Nice rhyme.
Yeah, it's a good rhyme. Good rhyme. No, I'd love to see this team get home ice, but hey, look, I kind of, when I look at it, I almost would rather second in the Pacific.
Why?
Well, for one, I mean, look, first is going to be pretty damn tough, right? Like, it's not like Vancouver's one of the teams that's on a roll too, right? Like, they haven't slowed down.
Best team in the NHL.
Yeah, they haven't slowed down.
The best team in the NHL.
So it's going to be, you're going to have to. We're far enough back that, you might have to just you have to break the record and some. To kind of get back into that conversation, and they're doing really well. You get home ice in that first round, right, against a in-division rival, likely be LA or Vegas, most likely Vegas. Although Vegas has looked
like an AHL team.
They've looked like an AHL team, even with Eichel in the lineup. The game that I was at, they looked awful.
They're
You know,
missing
so
more
I
than Eichel, man. Like that is
yeah.
not a good.
So I mean, it's and LA is not looking particularly great though either.
Oh, they've been awful.
So I don't know who it could be. I mean, I think the other than I'm fairly confident now that the Oilers are going to be in the playoffs come March or April.
Mhm. Yeah, I would hope so.
But I don't. It's hard to say who the rest of the teams are going to be in the West. I mean, that would be here. Look, this is a good conversation. I mean, Josh says if we jump all the way back to the division title, how burnt out would you be after that kind of run? I'd rather be sure we're rested and mentally focused on the playoffs. Now, do you think, like,
Oh,
when I think about that,
couldn't have
like
said
this
it better
team,
myself. Josh, you're brilliant. He is.
yeah, but does this team look burnt out after 14?
That's not his point. We're not at 82 yet. And if we have to keep grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding in the Bettman system to get to a division title, why? Like, let's grind to get a record, sure. There's going to be games we skip and miss and self-load manage on. You know that, I know that, and Josh knows that. So I don't know. Are we going to go 35-5 for the rest of the year? Like, what's that going to take out of our team? Do we want to go 35-5? Do we need some more adversity? We don't want to peak too early. Who the hell thought we'd be saying we don't want to peak too early? Wow. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, there's the thought that maybe we already have, right? Like,
which
Yeah.
is absolutely astonishing given the start we had. Astonishing.
But I would say to you, like after 14 games, outside of, I mean, they didn't play the best two periods. In fact, it might have been the worst two periods they've played of this whole streak last game. Although there have been other games, including that the last Chicago game, they didn't look great. But I wouldn't say, and I think Knobloch's done a good job of load management in a 14 game win streak,
A
as much as
good
you could say
job?
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Rework that sentence. An
Give
epic,
us
epic job.
whatever. You know what I
Epic
mean.
job. Hey,
Yeah.
let me ask it to you this way. Do you think any other team in the Central outside of Winnipeg, Colorado, and Dallas, who have 64, 63, and 62 points respectively, are going to make the playoffs? The next team in line is Nashville with 51. I don't know if I see Nashville as a playoff team. Let me finish. If we're first in the division, second in the division, do you care who we get out of the Jets, Avs, and Stars? And by that, I don't mean that as a cocky statement. I mean, all of those are incredibly intimidating, tough matchups that are also close that I'm not sure I could pick it. Like I said, 64, 63, and 62. We all hate Dallas. Colorado beat us, and so did the Jets. They swept us. And they're all really
Yeah, I
good
mean, our
teams.
best bet to win the first round is to play somebody in division.
So let me ask you the
100%.
question this way. Do you and this is why I think I'm right. I don't care. I don't care where we finish. Do you care where we finish?
No,
Because
I don't.
that dictates which one of those three teams we're going to play, and I don't think it matters. We're exercising demons no matter what.
Yeah, as long as we're not in the wild card spot, I think we're all right.
You know? Yeah, and some stranger, that's fair. I'm more worried about the Jets than the Stars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get goalied in a series.
yeah.
Like that,
Well, you can get
100%.
goalied in both those series,
Yeah,
though. That's the thing.
absolutely.
Ottinger can goalie you just as easily as the Jets can, and it doesn't matter. We're exercising playoff demons of some sort of decade, no matter what, whether it's the Jets, the Avs, or the Stars. So, we got to get over that hump or that demon or whatever you want to call it, no matter what, in the first round. So bring it on. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Let's just go into the season on a wagon. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Make the playoffs and go in strong. That's all I care
Hard
about.
to believe we're only at the halfway mark, right, for the Oilers.
Yeah.
right? Like, they're 2 games over the halfway mark for the
One
season.
game, 42 of 40 or 42 of 82, 40 left.
43
Oh,
games.
are we? Oh, right.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, sorry.
I pay
I added
attention to
that
the
up for
details.
last night.
Right.
Yeah, you're a details guy, and I'm the guy that listens.
That's
Sounds
right.
good.
All those things come back.
So my predictions for the games coming up. Let's get yours, and then you can have the floor to finish off.
I will tell you this. I'm not going to predict a loss when the Oilers are playing the way they are. I mean, it's just you can't, right? Like you'd be in the only guy maybe predicting a loss is PK Subban. And outside of that,
or Lars Eller somewhere, maybe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I've never, we've not been a part of an Oilers team like this in recent history where it just didn't feel like they'd lose. I think about the Oilers power play last year, and every time they had a power play, I just assumed they would score. And when they get on the ice, they're, with the exception of maybe one game in this whole 14 game streak that I can't even remember which one, but I remember they started out a little bit slow. First goal was scored against them, and I just had this feeling like maybe they wouldn't come back, and then they did. It was like a fleeting moment, one of those where you kick yourself in the ass and you say, what the hell was I thinking? Right? Like, of course this team is going to come back. I mean, they just find a way to win. And if it's not, if it's not the offense getting the job done, then it's Skinner getting the job done. If it's not Skinner getting the job done, then it's the defense getting the job done.
Yeah.
Or it's the PK, or it's even, for that matter, a timely power play goal, which just doesn't seem to be the guarantee. But at 5-on-5, this team's rolling. And up and down the lineup. And, we'll talk about it a million times. The only guy not scoring is Connor Brown. I guess Janmark's not really scoring either.
Yeah.
But those guys are contributing. Everybody's contributing.
Yeah.
And,
Skinner's not scoring.
Skinner's not scoring. He had a little chance that he could have taken. I think we'd all, that would just be the icing on the cake, wouldn't it, for this team right now?
Yeah.
They're not even getting a lot of, how many empty net goals have they had in this? They haven't needed to.
Or
right?
Goals called back, exactly. But...
Goals called back.
Okay, look,
yeah.
I wanna put this on you, and then I'll give you the floor to talk about the showdown. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody in their right mind that would predict a loss in these next 2 games will, should be tarred and feathered. When it comes to Tuesday, February 6th, can I put you on the spot? Do the Oilers tie the NHL record set by the 92-93 Pittsburgh Wagon
I think
Penguins?
I think they're gonna beat the record. That's honestly, I think they're gonna beat the record. After Anaheim, they might. Who knows?
Yeah, then it's LA, Detroit, Dallas, Boston. There's some roadblocks there.
And I think
I almost hope they do lose it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, let's just move on from that. If I'm going to give Dursa or Rai Guy or any of these boys credit in the chat, then I'll do it that way, right? Like, I do think it's important. They're saying it's about chemistry, but that streak builds chemistry and it builds memories, and all of that helps too. So let's do that in 3 games. Then let's go lose one. Then let's go worry about the chemistry.
And who doesn't want to be part of history, right? Like that. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. All right. 30 seconds
Thanks,
left.
Buddy.
Quickly, heavy hockey showdown coming up February 24th and 25th. 24th is the pre-party. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Oilerslive for all of that. Hey, it's been a fun night as usual. Oilers are a wagon. We know that. 14, they're going to be playing Chicago tomorrow night for 15. Everybody have a great night. We will see you.
We're never going to lose again.
Oilerslive.